Hi everyone, it's Don from Don Family Vacations, and this week we're going to talk about Universal Studios for the second time. And this time we're going to give them suggestions on how to become an even better park, an even better destination. Instead of being a good theme park destination, what does it take to make them a great theme park destination? And I'm going to give you my 5 things that they need to do to become that preferred destination in Orlando, Florida. Coming up next. Number 1, Universal has to come up with some kind of nighttime show. I mean, if you're going to Walt Disney World, there's tons of choices for nighttime shows, and it's a destination. You make sure that you're there. You're buying restaurant reservations so you can get preferred seating for things like Wishes, Illuminations, the nighttime show starting Rivers of Light at Animal Kingdom. You want to see the Star Wars fireworks. Fireworks is in every park, and they're amazing. And then you go to Universal, and there's nothing there. And the events that they do hold at night, like their Halloween Horror Nights, are their most popular of the year. Now, to be fair, I know they're trying to work on something for Harry Potter, where they're going to have an Illuminations type thing up on the walls of the castle that you can overlook. The trouble is, there's not a lot of viewing area around that spot. Like if you go to Walt Disney World, you walk down Main Street, you have that whole area and surrounding the park that you can watch the fireworks from. But it's a little tight at Universal Studios, so I understand they have a hard time, but they have to come up with something to compete with Walt Disney World. Number 2, dining in the parks and, even at City Walk. There's some good restaurants, but there's no must-do dining that you have to do. Some might say, well, I want to do the 3 Broomsticks, or I want to do Leaky Cauldron, but yeah, that's about it, right? But you're not standing in line. People are 6 months out in advance trying to sit online, waiting for midnight to pop up when you can do dining reservations for Be Our Guest Restaurant and for Le Cellier. You want to get into Cinderella's Castle. These are destination dining experiences that people wait months and months and months to try and get. I can walk into Universal Studios today and eat at any restaurant. I don't have to make a reservation because they're not a destination. They need to come up with something and an atmosphere, a character meal. Like imagine having a character meal where it's Harry Potter crew walking around, Hermione, Harry Potter. It would be amazing, but they just haven't done it. So number 2 is dining. And that goes for City Walk as well. I know they're limited in space, but let's just face it. If you're going to go to City Walk, what are you going to eat? Where are you going to eat? Are you going to eat at NBC Sports Grill, Vivo Italiano, Cowfish, and then some bars that are there? That's pretty good. But if you want a choice of meals to go, City Walk or Disney Springs, I'm sorry, Disney Springs blows you away. You got the Boathouse, you've got Homecoming, Deluxe Burger, Wolfgang Puck, Hangar Bar, Moriato's, Paddlefish, the new Edelfish Edison Bar opening up. And there's restaurants opening up all the time, and that's not the restaurants that are already there. You got T-Rex, you've got even the bowling alley restaurant, Splitsville, makes some of the best burgers at Disney. So it's like the meals, both in the park, in Disney Springs, City Walk, there's no comparison. They need to start coming up with something that draws people to those restaurants as destinations in themselves. Number 3, Universal Studios has some beautiful hotels, whether it's the Hard Rock or Sapphire Falls, Portofino's. They're Lowe's hotels, they're gorgeous hotels, but they're not owned by Universal Studios. They're owned by the hotel company themselves. So there's a disconnect there. While they're together and they're advertised as Universal Hotels, they're not really. If you have a problem, say you're staying at a Walt Disney World, you're staying at the Grand Floridian, and you're in the theme park and there's a problem with your room, you go to guest services in any of the parks and you can solve your hotel room. Try going to guest services in Islands of Adventure and try and solve a hotel problem at the Hard Rock Hotel. They're going to just look at you, sorry, there's nothing we can do. We're not part of that. We don't run it. And it does happen more often than not that people have, issues. So that's one thing. Another thing is, besides being beautiful hotels, can you imagine if they owned their own hotel properties and came up with stuff like a Harry Potter themed resort? It would drive the fans of Harry Potter nuts. Harry Potter in the parks is the most sought after area. In fact, I think it competes with anything Disney has. People want to see Harry Potter everywhere. But there's no hotel. There's no themed hotel for it. Disney is really good for putting their property all over their hotels and theming them out. Art of animation, movies, you name it. They're theming their hotels so people want to stay at those hotels. And people would want to stay at a Harry Potter hotel, but because they don't own their own, there's nothing there. Now, they just announced that they're probably going to build 4,000 hotel rooms coming up soon, and they just bought the rights to Nintendo. So can you imagine that maybe they might come up with a Nintendo-themed hotel room that maybe your kids might want to stay at? Right now, your kids look at the hotels that Universal has, and they don't care. You go to a Disney park, and your kids want a choice in what hotel they want to stay at because they want to stay in the Little Mermaid suite or the Cars Land. They want to stay in Animal Kingdom so they can watch giraffes all day. There's nothing like that at Universal. So if Universal could start owning some of their own properties and developing themed hotels that reflect the properties they own, can you imagine how many more people would want to stay on property for Universal? Number 4, enough with the green screen rides. Enough with the movie rides, guys. Every single thing you're coming up with nowadays has nothing but a movie ride. And it's very frustrating for some of us. Look at the last rides that have all come up. Escape from Gringotts, green screen. Simpsons ride, green screen. Kong Skull Island, green screen. Spider-Man, green screen. Transformers, green screen. Despicable Me, green screen. Hey, Jimmy Fallon, newest ride opening up this month, green screen. Hey, what do we got to look forward to in the future? Fast and the Furious, green screen. And it's really frustrating because a lot of people get motion sickness for one thing on these rides, and number 2, it's not as immersive. And let's take Skull Island for an example. What a great attraction. You're walking up, you see Kong Skull Island. You have one of the greatest queues ever created at a theme park. And then they load you into these fantastic vehicles and you start heading towards the ride. And the gates open up and there's flames everywhere and you're getting all excited. And then you watch a movie of Tyrannosaurus Rex and bugs chasing people. And at the end of the ride, you see Kong's head for exactly 17 seconds as you drive by. Oh, can you imagine how much more exciting that would be if they would have developed the Kong ride like they used to, like the Jaws rides. And we used to get rides like this from Kong with the visual effects, the fire, helicopters floating by. It would draw you in. One of the most popular rides to this day at Universal Studios is still The Mummy. Why? It's not a green screen. It brings you into the movie. It's like you're part of the movie The Mummy. It has practical effects. There's fire. You can feel the flames on your face. You can see them. You can reach out and touch them. You feel like they're chasing you. It's fantastic. This is where Disney is blowing Universal away, not so much with thrill rides, but in rides in general, for the fact that they're mixing it up. They'll bring out 2 rides. One of them will be a green screen kind of effect. Let's take a look at Pandora. You can pretty much expect that when you're going to be flying the Banshee, that's a green screen effect. But then they're also doing the boat ride, which is going to be all practical effects. So they're spreading it out. They bring out Frozen. It has a little bit of green screen in it, but they have animatronics all throughout the ride. It draws you more into the rides than just watching movies. And every single thing coming out from Universal right now is movies. Green screen. I understand they're very cheap to do, very easy to do. But guys, you do animatronics fantastic. Look at the goblins at Harry Potter. Look at the face of Kong at the end of the ride. The bats at the beginning of that ride. They're fantastic. And then you just show us a movie. Enough with the green screen. If you don't change that, people are going to get really bored of your park and your rides, because all the rumors so far have come out with Kong, really good queue, so-so ride. Jimmy Fallon, really good queue, so-so ride. And guess what? I'm predicting Fast and the Furious, good queue, so-so ride. Number 5 is, as I mentioned earlier, they just bought Nintendo, so I'm hoping they're going to do something with this property. And my number 5 reason is, you got to do something for young kids. I know you got Seuss Landing and things like that, but let's take a look at some of the rides that they have. You got this ride, which is basically Dumbo. Then you got a little bit of roller coaster. Disney's got that too. You got Spinny Ride, and that's about it. You got lots of things for kids like 11, 12, and growing into their teens, but you really have nothing for those 3, 4, and 5-year-olds that parents want to bring their kids to. And if you do come up with a ride, it's like the Dumbo ride where you're sitting there and the parents are pretty bored, and the kid is yay, yay for a few seconds, and then there's nothing else for them to do. This is where Disney is blowing them away, and let's face it, Disney developed their parks for kids. That's where they got their market. And those kids grew up into adults, and now the nostalgia for those adults, you see 65-year-olds on Dumbo. You don't see that, them going around on those flying saucers. You don't see 65-year-olds on the flying saucers at Universal Studios. So this is where they need to develop kids' rides, because Disney has perfected the ride that will entertain your children, as well as keep the adults entertained as well. From Smallville to Little Mermaid to Peter Pan, you just name it. Even their characters walking around the parks. What kind of characters do you normally see? You see Shrek, you see a couple of guys, you see X-Men, you see the Blues Brothers, you see Marilyn Monroe. Oh great, I'm a 3-year-old, I can't wait to see Marilyn Monroe and the Blues Brothers. But then you go to Disney, and they have characters that the kids are dying to see. They're dressed up as these characters. They're dressed up as princesses. They're doing this. And Disney's been doing it a lot longer than Universal, so let's be fair. The trouble is, I don't see Universal developing anything for that market. Now, hopefully, like I said, that they went out and they bought Nintendo. And let's hope they do something with Nintendo. A Nintendo-themed area, a Nintendo-themed hotel, something, Nintendo-themed restaurant. Do something for kids. Because if you don't, you're only going to have teenagers in your park and young adults, and that's going to limit your growth potential. Can you imagine if you had 3, 4, and 5-year-olds saying, I can't wait to go to Universal Studios, Mom and Dad. Can you bring me? And they're wearing Shrek hats and donkey hats and things like that. Like the kids are wearing Mickey Mouse ears and princess costumes, and they can't wait to see Mickey Mouse, and they can't wait to see their favorite princesses. You got none of that at Universal. No 3 and 4 and 5-year-olds are lining up because they can't wait to see the Blues Brothers. And yeah, I like Marilyn Monroe and I like the Blues Brothers, but I'm not a 3 and 4 and 5-year-old. So there you have it. Those are 5 things that I think Universal can do to become that #1 destination in Orlando, Florida, if they just work on some of these things. Any of them. They don't have to do all 5 at once. Just start doing some of those things, and let's hope in the future that they're going to do it. So what do you think? Do you agree with me? Do you think that they're doing exactly what they should be doing right now? Do they think they should be ignoring the hotel market, the dining market? Do you think their dining is better than Disney? I have a hard time believing anyone does, but leave your comments down below, and if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. And if you want to see more travel videos and all over the world, including Disney, Universal, cruising, Japan, Australia, Alaska, you name it, please hit the subscribe button, and we'll see you all next week.